one of these days I'm gonna figure out how to like get that fluorescent light out of here. Or yeah, should shot this in my room, but whatever. Let's roll. Hey everyone, CW Music Reviews here. I'm CWD, and this is gonna be this monthly segment of N.E.T. Not enough time. June is over. I'm getting the DJ Shadow review exported right now, so I figured I'd go ahead and get this segment as well as favorite albums of June as well as favorite albums of mid-year out of the way right now. I might as well get that recorded pretty much. Gonna do that one at a time, so there you go. But enough mumbling around. This is the N.E.T. for the month of June. Before we get into this though, I wanted to mention a album or mixtape or project I didn't touch down on for my May N.E.T. that is causing a lot of buzz right now. A lot of people are hailing it as like album of the year. The new Chance the Rapper mixtape, coloring book. Chance the Rapper, if you're not in the know, is a Chicago rapper, up and coming force, really promising dude. He's got a really positive image about himself. He's definitely a promising force in the world of hip hop right now, and now he's got this new mixtape out, which was originally titled Chance 3, and for some reason it was streaming on Apple Music for like 2 weeks, which is weird for a mixtape. I don't know what mixtapes are anymore. But yeah, anyway, this album or project, it kind of feels like an album, but it's really a mixtape. But this project, it's pretty good. You'll definitely dig it if you're like a big Chance the Rapper fan already. If you like gospel, funk, and soul and all that, there's a lot of incorporations of that in the mixtape. Essentially, if you dug Ultralight Beams off of Kanye West's The Life of Pablo, you'll probably get something out of this, because this feels like an expounded upon like entire beat tape, or not beat tape. I'm not editing this, by the way. Entire mixtape that is pretty much reminiscent of that formula, and it works out particularly well in a good chunk of tracks. But unfortunately, I can't say I'm that into it. I don't think it's as fantastic as everyone and their grandmothers are saying, so that's why I didn't review it. Also because it's a mixtape, it's free for download. Like, you can go on DatPiff and download that motherfucker if you want. My philosophy about free releases is that unless it's awful, unless it's completely horrendous and by a syndicated rapper, or it's fantastic and it's by anyone, if it's just like irrefutably fantastic, then I'll review it. But if it's just okay, or just not good, or just slightly sucks or whatever, then there's no reason for me to review it. You can just download it, try it for yourself, and delete it if you fucking despise it, or just keep it in your iPod or whatever these kids use these days, and bump it in your stereo in your car, and go to the shows, buy their merch and all that, you know. There's literally no opportunity cost to downloading a free album or a free mixtape or whatever, you know. And that goes for the Denzel Curry album as well, for that matter. But although I kind of like that Denzel Curry album a little bit more than this. That took longer than it should have, so let's start diving into the month of June, shall we? See if I can pull up my screenshotted Metacritic list thing. Get an idea of where to start. The new Kills album, Ash and Ice. This is the latest full-length album from the indie rock duo, experimental rock duo, and I tried this out, even though I wasn't really familiar with the band or the duo's projects previous to this. I tried this out and I was just bored with it. I didn't see much anything about this project that I was interested in. It was just, it kind of sounded like if Eurythmics was never interesting. You know, it just sounded exactly like that, and I didn't really feel that strongly inclined to ever touch upon listening to that ever again, since it just dragged and dragged and dragged, and I didn't really see a point in reviewing it, since this seems to be a style that they are sticking to at the moment, or at least for this era of their careers, I guess. But if you're a fan of these guys, I guess check them out. That's really all I can say on that. Okay. What else? Band of Horses. I'll talk about that in a minute. The new Band of Horses album, Why Are You Okay? Pretty much the album title pretty much asks the question for me with this album. Why is it just okay? I don't understand why it's just okay. You know, the opening track was really cool. It was it's like a 7-minute long, kind of emotional type thing going on there. I certainly enjoyed the opening track. And you gotta understand, when I heard this track, I was like, okay, maybe I'll be into this thing. But then when I start listening to more and more of the album, it just sounded like exactly what the opening track was, except maybe in shorter bursts. You know, maybe in like faster or slower paces, but that's really it, unfortunately. It's a sadcore record, pretty much, and yes, sadcore is a genre. Look it up. And it's not really a approach to the genre that I'm particularly into, unfortunately. Oh, the new Gojira album, Lava. That's what it's called? No, Magma, my bad. Yeah, the new Gojira album, Magma. I was interested in this thing, since Gojira are, like, one of the bigger names in, like, modern day mainstream metal music, and I really enjoyed From Mars to Sirius quite a bit when I listened to that. Haven't really listened to much of their work other than that project, but regardless, that to me was a really good album. However, with this new album, Magma, it just kind of sounds like that Gojira are hopping on the same train that a lot of progressive and sludge metal bands are going for, you know. But instead of sounding really good and particularly interesting like Baroness or Torch, this band, like, pretty much neuters themselves to a certain degree, where they're not as heavy. Oh, it looks like it exported. Anyway, they're not as heavy, and they're not as tech death-ish. You know, it just sounds like your average thrash metal type dealio going on there. It's not bad, but it's just not that interesting either. You'll definitely dig it if you're a big fan of Gojira already. If you're someone that likes Pantera or Metallica or any of those thrash metal bands quite a bit, you'll get something out of it. Plus, like, not only was there like not a lot new to these riffs, the closing track was just this out of place acoustic instrumental that really didn't go much of anywhere, except like just making me wish that this was a folk metal album instead of like whatever it is Gojira did for this project, unfortunately. The new album from Unlocking the Truth. This is a promising metal trio. Trying to keep from coughing. But yeah, this is a promising metal trio from, I believe, New York, Queens, I believe. And what one unique characteristic about these guys is that they're not like guys. They're pretty much like adolescents and teenagers. They're all pretty much 16 and under. That's pretty cool. They definitely demonstrate a lot of talent at the instrumentation they go for. And the riffs aren't bad, they're just incredibly cliche. And that was demonstrated on the EP that dropped a couple years ago, but with this new album, they really haven't changed all that much stylistically. Now, vocally, there's a lot of improvement. Like, the vocals are a bit more foreboding and a bit more aggressive and like stand alone in a sense, whereas like a few years ago, since their lead vocalist was like 13 years old, it sounded like cracked and really naive and childish, obviously. And I don't think they really improved all that much for the duration of the album. I mean, if you're into like that mainstream, you know, if you're into that mainstream metal stuff, like if you're super into like that traditional metal sound and doesn't have like a lot of bite to it, you know, this is like metal music for like younger people to listen to, then yeah, do definitely check that out if you're like super into the group already or anything of that nature. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna get to that. The new Kayo Dot album. Yeah, the new Kayo Dot album. What's this album called? Plastic House on Base of Sky. To be blunt, this was boring. Boring. The production had no teeth to it. These are... Shit, I coughed, sorry. I got angry. Yeah. But yeah, the production had like no teeth to it, neither did the instrumentation. The vocals are just so like in the background and slathered in reverb that they might as well not even be there. In a sense, it makes like the Dive album that dropped this past February look like it had emotion to it, and yeah, I just wasn't that intrigued with it at all. It just sounds like this really intriguing experimental rock group is just slowly devolving their sound into like nostalgic prog rock that was only interesting during a time when it was new and it was fresh. And what they're doing with the sound isn't fresh, isn't new, and isn't interesting. So I saw no reason to finish it after the fourth of the fifth tracks, nor did I see any reason to review it, so there you go. Harsh, I know, but this thing just bored the shit out of me. The new Avett Brothers album, True Sadness. This is the latest album from folk rock, indie folk, folk pop, alternative country, pioneers and underrated heroes, the Avett Brothers. And I caught these guys live a couple of years ago, and they demonstrate a lot of like energy and modestness, if that's even a word, and down to earth like type of stature throughout the duration of the performance. And I wasn't really familiar with their work before, but with their performance that I saw, I really need to like rectify that, listen to their earlier records. Because with this new album, I don't think the album like accurately captures the down-to-earth nature of a Avett Brothers performance. Like, if you ever get a chance to go see them live, go see them live. You'll definitely be entertained with what they do, even if you're not that familiar with their work. And unfortunately, with Rick Rubin back on production with this album, he's not really giving the sound that they're trying to do the justice it deserves for the most part. Like the opening track had like these obnoxious group vocals and like this obnoxious hand clapping that really takes away from like the rawness that the album could have gone for. Plus, a good chunk of the lyrics were corny, like the track Smithsonian, where he pretty much says that they need to call the Smithsonian because he just discovered that life is disappointing. Not for me. I mean, if you're an Avett Brothers fan, you'll definitely want to check this out. It's not bad, it's certainly decent, it's just not something I'm particularly into. And finally, this new Clipping EP, Wriggle. Big fan of Clipping, love Mid-City, love their self-titled album Without Vowels. And I definitely am into this new EP. I just don't know how to review this within a review setting, since I'm having a lot of trouble trying to manage my EPs this year, along with my mixtapes. But with this new EP, it's Clipping definitely coming back and delivering a set of songs that are pretty fantastic for over half the time. If you're already a Clipping fan, you'll definitely get a lot of this. If you're like looking for some underground hip hop, something like alternative in the hip hop realm, you'll definitely want to check this out, as well as Clipping's other past stuff. Because with this project, they're definitely diving into more like sexual stuff in nature. There's like a Cakes to Killa feature, so if you're familiar with Cakes to Killa, you know the type of debauchery that would go on a feature of his. It's like $5 on Bandcamp, $6 on Bandcamp, or something like that. Do definitely check it out if you're a big fan of Clipping or a big fan of hip hop. You'll definitely get something out of it. Excuse me. See if I missed anything of note that I actually listened to. I think that might be it. Yeah, but that's... Yep, that's it. That's all I'm interested in. And touching down on. Yeah. What did you think of these projects that I mentioned? Did you like them, dislike them? Are you going to hate me forever for not touching down on them in a review capacity? Let me know in the comments, and that's pretty much it. CW Music Reviews here, signing off.